Step out. Why? Because you don't live here. I do live here. This is my condo. Then prove it. Step outside. Now.
The knock didn't sound like a neighbor. It sounded like authority. 3 hard raps that echoed down the condo hallway and made the framed art on the wall vibrate slightly. Sergeant Caleb Rains stood outside Unit 4C with his body camera blinking and his shoulders squared like the door was hiding something. Inside, Staff Sergeant Andre Whitaker, retired, medically discharged, still walking with the kind of careful weight distribution you learn after years of carrying gear, paused with his keys in hand. Groceries were on the floor. A paper bag sagged open, exposing a carton of eggs and a bundle of green onions. Andre had been home for less than 5 minutes. He took a slow breath, then opened the door. "Can I help you?" he asked. Rains didn't answer the question. He looked past Andre's shoulder into the condo, like he owned the sightline. "Step out," Rains said. Andre's eyebrows lifted. "Why?" Rains's tone sharpened immediately. "Because you don't live here," he said. The sentence was so absurd it landed like a joke, except Rains wasn't smiling. Andre felt something old and familiar tighten behind his ribs. Not fear, recognition. The moment when you realize the person in front of you has already decided what you are. "I do live here," Andre said, calm and controlled. "This is my condo." Rains's jaw clenched. "Then prove it," he snapped. Andre stared at him. "By doing what?" "By stepping outside," Rains said. "Now." And just like that, a quiet Tuesday evening in a condo building turned into a public test of belonging. A test that would end, months later, with a $2.6 million settlement and a department learning a lesson the hard way. Because there was a hallway camera, a doorbell camera, a neighbor filming from behind a half-open door, and a veteran who knew how to keep his voice steady when his pulse wanted to spike. Rewind. To the part people never see when they tweaks. Watch a clip online. Andre Whitaker didn't buy Unit 4C because he wanted status. He bought it because he wanted quiet. After 2 deployments and 1 injury that changed the way he walked and slept, Andre craved something simple. A place with predictable sounds. A place where the walls didn't shake from distant blasts. A place where the only thing he had to monitor was whether the upstairs neighbor was vacuuming too late. He'd saved for it the slow, stubborn way. VA paperwork, down payment assistance, a job with a security firm that paid well enough to build a future, but not so well that anyone mistook it for easy money. The condo complex, Linden Crest, was clean and modern, neutral tones, controlled access, a lobby that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, and an HOA that sent emails about everything from parking tags to what kind of doormat was approved. Andre tolerated it, because peace always comes with fine print. For almost a year, Linden Crest was exactly what he needed. He nodded at neighbors, he held doors, he kept his head down. He didn't host loud parties, he didn't leave trash in the hall. He lived like someone who understood that quiet is earned. Then a new resident moved into 4B, 2 doors down, a woman named Marjorie Linley, mid-60s, perfect posture, a voice that always sounded like she was speaking to customer service. She introduced herself at the mailbox cluster. "Hi," she said, smiling too tightly. "I'm new here." Andre nodded. "Welcome." Marjorie looked him up and down, quick, practiced. "Do you rent?" she asked. Andre blinked. "No," he said. "I own." Marjorie's smile didn't change, but her eyes did. "Oh," she replied, like she'd just learned a fact she didn't like. That was the beginning. Not loud, not obvious, just the first small indication that to Marjorie, Andre's presence required explanation. A few weeks later, a string of thefts hit the building. Nothing dramatic. A missing box here, a torn mailer there. The HOA sent an email. Be vigilant. Residents started whispering about outsiders. The front desk attendant, overworked and underpaid, started asking people for IDs more often, and in buildings like Linden Crest, fear spreads through group chats faster than facts. Marjorie became the loudest voice in the chat. She posted photos of strangers she saw in the lobby, delivery drivers, maintenance workers, a teenager in a hoodie who turned out to be visiting his grandmother. Every post carried the same subtext: this place is being invaded. Andre ignored it, because he'd learned in the military that not every threat deserves attention. But this wasn't a threat, it was a mood, and moods, when paired with police dispatch, become dangerous. On the day of the incident, Andre had worked a long shift. He stopped at a grocery store, picked up a rotisserie chicken, fruit, eggs, small signs of a normal life. When he pulled into the garage, his parking fob worked. The gate lifted, the security camera captured his car entering like it did every time. He carried bags to the elevator, rode up, walked to 4C, and as he set the bags down to fish for his keys, he heard footsteps behind him. Marjorie. She paused at her door and stared. Andre nodded politely. Marjorie didn't nod back. She watched him unlock his door, watched him step inside. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away. Andre didn't think about it again. He should have, because Marjorie went straight to her phone. The 911 call was calm. That's what made it effective. I think someone is breaking into a unit on the 4th floor, Marjorie said. Dispatch asked which unit. She hesitated. 4C, she replied. Dispatch asked what she saw. A man with bags, Marjorie said. He looked like he didn't belong here. He was fumbling with the lock. Dispatch asked if the man forced entry. No, she admitted. Dispatch asked if he had a weapon. No, but I'm concerned, she added quickly. We've had thefts. I don't recognize him. There it was, the real evidence. I don't recognize him. In a building full of strangers, Dispatch coded it as suspicious person/possible burglary. 2 units were dispatched. One was led by Sergeant Caleb Rains. Rains arrived with a mindset, not a question, a conclusion. The hallway camera later showed him stepping off the elevator with purpose. He didn't linger, didn't look around, didn't ask the front desk to check the resident roster. He walked straight to 4C because the call had given him an address, and in his mind, that was enough. The first knock came. Andre opened, and the confrontation began. Step out, Rains repeated. Andre didn't move. Officer, he said carefully, I'm not stepping into the hallway for no reason. Tell me, what's going on? Rains's eyes narrowed. We got a call, he said. You were seen entering this unit. The resident is concerned. Andre stared. I am the resident, he said. My name is Andre Whitaker. Rains's tone turned skeptical. Show me ID, he said. Andre nodded once. My ID is inside, he replied. On the counter. I can retrieve it. Rains's hand went to his belt. Don't reach, he snapped. Andre froze. You just told me to show ID, Andre said, voice tight but controlled. How do you want me to do that? Rains leaned closer. You want to play games? He said. Step outside. Andre felt the anger rise, not hot, cold, because he recognized the tactic. Get the person into a more vulnerable position, away from the door, away from their space, where authority can move them. Andre took a slow breath. No, he said. I'm not stepping out. You can verify my identity through the building, management, through dispatch, through my license, once you allow me to retrieve it. But I'm not leaving my home because a neighbor doesn't recognize me. Rains's jaw tightened. Then you're refusing a lawful order, he said. Andre's eyes flicked to the body camera. "For the record," he said, "I'm requesting verification. I'm not resisting. I'm in my home." A door across the hall cracked open. A neighbor's face appeared, a phone held low. Recording, not out of curiosity, out of the same instinct Andre had learned on patrol. If you don't document, the story gets rewritten. Rains noticed the door. He shifted slightly, blocking the view. Then he made a decision that would become the most expensive part of the evening. He reached for Andre's arm. "Step out," he said again, voice harder. Andre lifted his hands. "Do not touch me," he said. Rains's eyes flashed. "What did you just say?" Andre held his ground. "I said, don't touch me," he repeated. "This is my home. You're escalating without evidence." Rains's hand hovered near his cuffs. That tiny movement changed everything. Because once cuffs enter the moment, it stops being a check. It becomes a threat. Andre swallowed. He could feel his heartbeat. He could feel the hallway getting smaller. And he could feel something else. His injury. The way his shoulder tightened when his arms went behind him. The pain that would flare if he was forced. He didn't say it yet. He didn't want sympathy. He wanted procedure. "Sergeant," Andre said, voice steady, "I'm a veteran. I have mobility limitations. If you put me in cuffs, you're going to hurt me. Stop. Verify first." Rains snorted. "Everybody's a veteran," he said. The neighbor across the hall sucked in a breath. The hallway camera captured it. Andre's eyes hardened. "I'm not everybody," he said, "and you're not going to treat me like a suspect in my own doorway because someone called and said I looked like I didn't belong." Rains's radio crackled. He pressed it. "Need building management," he said. "Confirm residency. Possible trespass. Possible trespass." Andre heard it and felt the insult. Not just to him, to the reality of ownership. To the idea that a black man in a condo has to be proven legitimate. While Rains waited, he kept pressure on. He asked where Andre worked. He asked why he was really there. He asked if he had a key. Andre gestured toward the open door. "My key is in the lock," he said. Rains looked at it, then looked away, evidence ignored, because the story in his head was louder. Building management arrived 10 minutes later. A tired security supervisor named Luis Mendoza. Mendoza stepped off the elevator with a tablet. He looked at Andre and immediately nodded. "Mr. Whitaker?" he said. "Yeah, he lives here." Just like that, one sentence, the entire premise collapsed. Rains's face tightened. "Confirm," he said, as if he couldn't accept it the first time. Mendoza tapped the tablet. "Unit 4C, he said. "Owner, Andre Whitaker, registered vehicle, key fob assigned." Rains stared. For a moment, Andre thought he would apologize. He didn't. He said, "Okay," like this was a normal verification. Then he turned slightly toward the neighbor's door. Marjorie's door was shut now. Quiet, as if she hadn't started it. Andre looked at Rains. "You're done?" he asked. Rains's voice went clipped. "Stay safe," he said. And then, as if he needed the last word to protect his ego, he added something that would become gasoline in the lawsuit. "Next time, answer the door properly." Andre's eyes narrowed. "Properly?" he repeated. Rains didn't answer. He walked away. Andre closed his door and leaned against it. His hands trembled slightly. Not weakness, adrenaline. He looked at the groceries still on the floor. Eggs, chicken. Normal life disrupted by someone else's suspicion. He picked up the bag and carried it to the kitchen. Then he sat at his table and stared at the wall. Because what had happened wasn't just annoying, it was dangerous. A wrong hand, a wrong move, a wrong escalation. And a veteran with a disability could have ended up on the floor, in cuffs, outside his own door. That night, Andre pulled the doorbell footage. He pulled the hallway camera clip. He requested the police body cam through public records. And he filed a complaint. Not for revenge. For a record. He knew the pattern. If you don't write the story, someone will write it for you. And their version will protect them. The department responded with familiar language. Welfare check. Safety concern. Officer responded appropriately. But the videos told a different story. They showed Rains dismissing Andre's claim of residency. They showed him demanding compliance without a lawful basis. They showed him reaching for cuffs. They showed him making the "everybody's a veteran" remark. And they showed him walking away without apology. Public reaction exploded when a clip surfaced. A veteran at his own door. A cop saying, "You don't live here." Neighbors whispering. The building manager confirming residency. People recognized the pattern immediately, because the phrase, "you don't live here," is never just about an address. It's about permission. Who is allowed? Who is presumed? Who must prove? Here's the twist that pushed the settlement into 7 figures. Discovery revealed that Sergeant Rains had been involved in prior trespass verification encounters. Not always documented, not always disciplined, but there were complaints. Residents saying he escalated, residents saying he dismissed evidence, a supervisor note mentioning tone, concerns, and premature detention language. The department hadn't corrected it, they'd tolerated it, and now, with Andre's footage, tolerance became liability. Andre's lawsuit alleged unlawful detention, civil rights violations, disability discrimination due to the threat of force and cuffing despite disclosure, emotional distress, and failure to train and supervise. It also named the building's HOA and management in separate claims for enabling discriminatory reporting practices. Because Marjorie's call didn't happen in a vacuum, it happened in a culture where "I don't recognize him" was treated like evidence. The city wanted it quiet. Andre wanted change, because money without policy is just hush. Negotiations dragged. Then the department's lawyers watched the full body cam, and they understood. A jury would hate this. A jury would hear, "You don't live here." A jury would watch a veteran stay calm while being threatened. A jury would watch a sergeant ignore obvious verification options. And a jury would ask a question no city wants asked. If he acted like this on camera, what does he do off camera? The settlement, $2.6 million, arrived with the usual disclaimers. No admission, no confession, but it arrived with conditions. Updated protocols requiring verification through building management before any detention for residency disputes. Restrictions on hallway door confrontations absent immediate threat. Mandatory training on bias and disability accommodations. A policy requiring supervisors to document and review trespass claim encounters. And a formal apology entered into record. Not because apologies fix everything, because records matter. Marjorie Linley didn't face criminal charges. People like Marjorie rarely do. But she did face consequences. HOA sanctions, a formal warning, and a public embarrassment she couldn't write away in a group chat. Some neighbors defended her. Some avoided her. But the building changed. Residents started pushing back against suspicious person calls used as social control. They demanded clearer procedures. They demanded accountability. And they learned, painfully, that calling 911 is not a harmless habit. It's a force multiplier. Andre kept living in 4C. He didn't move. That mattered, because leaving would have been the quiet victory of the assumption. Instead, he stayed. He installed better cameras. He built relationships with neighbors who actually wanted community. He taught himself to breathe through the moments that tried to steal his peace. Months later, a reporter asked Andre what hurt the most. He didn't say the knock. He didn't say the tone. He said, "The worst part was realizing he wasn't confused." He paused. He was certain. Andre continued, certain I didn't belong, certain he didn't need to check, certain that my home was negotiable. And that's the real lesson behind the $2.6 million payout. Not a payout, a record, a warning, a reminder that a doorway, your doorway, should never become a courtroom where you have to prove you belong. Because when authority treats belonging like an argument, the danger isn't only humiliation, it's what happens if someone flinches, if someone reaches, if someone escalates. The knock echoed down the hallway. The bodycam blinked. A veteran stood in his own doorway and refused to surrender his dignity for someone else's comfort. And in the end, the department learned what it should have known before it ever knocked. Verification is not optional. Belonging is not a debate. And the words, "You don't live here," can cost you $2.6 million, and far more than money, when the record proves you were wrong.